What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Longing for Something to Live For. Went to see Equalizer 2. Good movie. Go check it out. But something was said in the movie. Something like throwaway for people who are just watching it, but it made me think about the idea that, some of us need something. A lot of us are longing for something to live for. And sometimes we get mistaken by longing for someone to live for, but people die. And I don't think that people realize, there's so many people in the world who are looking for their passion or their purpose or looking to follow their dream. And the crazy thing about it is, everybody wants to be successful, but finding a zest for life should be considered successful. Charting your course and accepting, the highs and lows of that course seems to be a little bit elusive, to say the least. And I start to realize, in some ways, this is why people have vices, because an idle mind is the devil's workshop. When you have nothing to live to give you a reason to live properly, you come to be self-destructive. It's okay to have a dream, but it's all right to have multiple dreams also. Like, you don't have to have just one, because I think that's part of the issue too, that sometimes some of us only have one dream. If that dream succeeds, great. If that dream doesn't, it's like you're like Jennifer Hudson and Dreamgirls. You just, if that don't happen, that was your whole life purpose and dream. And I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a bad way to look at things, because you see people broken at a very early age because they've spent their young lives trying to accomplish this one dream, and if it falls through, that hurt or agony spills into everything else in their lives. They feel like they're a failure because they didn't succeed at that. But life has infinite possibilities, and just because you fail at something does not mean that you didn't learn anything to be successful at something else. Like, sometimes I think to be a master at something, you have to be open to fail at something, so you can learn all of the nuances so you don't fail. All the small mistakes that could create a big outcome. All the approaches, you start to, everything slows down, and I think that's what life and experience does to people also. So, but looking out in the world, it's funny because some people don't know what they're good at or what they can be good at, because they're too busy surviving in the rat race. And I think that's one of the hardest steps, is to survive when you're looking for your purpose. And it's hard to live what you feel is your purpose, knowing that it doesn't sustain you at the moment. And I think that's a heck of a thing. I think that's a heck of a thing because it's a lot of pressure in that. You know, do you want it as bad as you said you do? You know, do you mean it? Because going back a little bit, and the reason I say longer for something, because you can evolve into a different person and then in that newness have a new dream, have a new purpose. But if you're stagnant, you're just gonna be in that one space. You know, and I think that goes with part of the ideology of relationships. You know, you're trying to make relationships work as you're growing and evolving, and you have to give yourself room to grow, and you have to give your partner room to accept and deal with your growth, and you have to give your partner the same room to grow and accept their growth, because you might not grow in the same way, and you might not be growing at the same time. So, but it's more so purpose, because I talked about people being sad or upset. I think one of the reasons is because people don't have anything to live for. You know, you have parents who become empty nesters who don't have an identity without their children, and they have a hard time. You have people who worked all their lives in a particular field or at a particular place, and that's part of their identity, and when they retire they don't actually know who they are, or what their interests are, because they just been grinding and providing. Because in some ways, sometimes people's purpose, some people have a loud purpose and some people have a quiet one. Like taking those blue collar type of person I was talking about, it might have been what fulfilled them to have a family or put a family or kids in a situation that was better than theirs. So they worked consistently and every day to provide the stability for them to have that. And after that time period is up, they're not sure what they have to live for, trying to figure it out. I was talking to years ago, this old cop. He was retiring, and I asked him why he just didn't, just up and retire. And he says, "Well, all of my coworkers dead because they stopped being cops, and they kind of just went cold turkey. And in some way, he felt like they didn't, but without being a cop, they didn't have anything really to live for at that time, at that age, so they just faded off." He said, so what he did was he put his retirement like on a year timetable where he worked less and less and less and less, and I think on the side he found things that made him, that would interest him outside of work, with more of that time that he would spend at home. He said so he could gradually get into the ideology of him being retired. And I think that was one of the dopest things I had heard at that particular time. It was like that old man's a genius, because I know my grandparents and my great aunts and great uncles, they would say the same thing about their friends, and that they'd be dropping like flies after they retired, or their spouse died, or they got divorced. It was over. And I also see this with people who are older, and it gives them life to when they find something else that gives them purpose. When they find something else that they love to do, or create a new avenue, or have a new passion, it gives them a little bit more. It gives them something to wake up in the morning for. And I think some people got to take that into consideration, that and I say this, and for those people who have something to live for, but that something might have been taken away from you. Um, Occupy yourself. You know, things work themselves out. Things do work themselves out, but occupy yourself to find another purpose. Because some people, you know, some people have a tendency to, they want to get joy out of trying to take the things that matter in your life out of your life. But that only lasts for a season. But during that season, you might want to find something or a few things to fill the void, because that's a big void. Um, but I think we all, in some ways, are longing um, for some type of purpose in life, because you know we don't. A lot of us don't know why we're here. We're just here, you know. And I think the journey is to find out why. Um, so I think that in itself is where the longing comes from. And sometimes people feel like they're on the right path, and sometimes they feel like they're not, and sometimes they feel like they're completely lost or don't know which way to go. But I think we're all longing for it in general. So we out. Peace.